and welcome back to the Craft Castle. My name is Ashley, and in a previous video we unboxed the brand new air filter that Xtool came out with for their Xtool laser machines and cutters. They also work with a bunch more, but these are the ones that I just have here up in my craft room. Now in that original video, what we did was we just unboxed the brand new air filter, and then I used it once and gave you an opinion. I now have been using this air filter for a couple months now, and I wanted to give you an updated video of my opinion. Also, in that original unboxing video, there were some comments and questions about the actual air filter, so I'm going to talk about that today. Very first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take you over into the software, because that may answer a few questions that people had left in the original unboxing video. At the very end of this, you're going to know exactly how I feel about this air filter and if I think it is a buy or pass. Are you ready to figure out whether or not this air filter is a buy or pass? Let's go. Okay, so the one question that I've gotten is, how in the world do you know which filter is filling up faster, or when should you replace that? So what I am going to do is come over here into new project. Now my Bluetooth dongle thing is connected onto my P2S, and my P2S is on. Your machine and also the air filter needs to be on in order for you to look at this right here. Okay, let me pause real quick and let me explain something before we continue on for this. So if you remember, or if you didn't even watch the original unboxing for that air filter, I unboxed that air filter using my original P2. Two things with that. If you have the original P2, you will not be able to use the Bluetooth dongle thing. That's only for the P2S and then the F1 Ultra, whatever. But the other thing to that is I'm about ready to show you working times that I have used for my P2S in relation to the air filters and how full that is. It's not going to be accurate, and the reason for that is because I did not and am not going to include my work time hours for my P2. So I had used my P2 for about a month before switching over to the P2S. So we're talking about a month time frame that's not going to be accounted for with the livelihood or the longevity of these air filters. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so in order to see any of this information that I'm about ready to show you, what you want to do is make sure that your Xtool is turned on, and then obviously your air filter. Now, if your air filter is hooked up via Bluetooth to your Xtool P2S, you shouldn't have to go over there and turn it on. It should automatically turn on for you. Okay, what you want to do is come over here into this device settings, and then what I'm going to show you is the working info, because this is kind of important when we go down into how long the air filters last you. Remember what I said, that this original air filter was also on my P2, my original P2. So the numbers that you see here is only going to be for my P2S. I no longer have the original P2, so I can't give you how many hours I used the air filter, but we'll get into that. Okay, you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. So I have operated my P2S 30 times. Okay, I have 4.3 working hours. That means that how long my laser has actually been working. Now, standby time is how long it is just on. Right now, my Xtool is turned on and it's creating standby hours. It's not actually working. So when I start to work it, this number will bump up. So for my P2S, I've only used it 4.3 total hours. Now the P2, this is about a month's worth for me. For my original P2, I had about a month as well. So let's just say that I have about 8 hours of full working time on this air filter that I have, okay? Now let's go down into accessory information. This is where you're going to see my air filter, all right? We're going to go down here and you're going to be able to see your filter lifetime. Now you're going to be able to see, obviously, that we have some percentages here for roughly 8 hours of work time. And even if you didn't want to include the original P2, let's just say 4 hours of work time, because that's what we know. What we know is I have 4 hours of work time, that I have 95% filter left of the pre-filter, 98% of the medium efficiency of filter, 100% of the charcoal one, 99% of the ultra defense carbon mesh filter, and 99% of the high efficiency filter. Now, having almost 100% for me is great because that means that I don't have to replace my air filters anytime soon. However, I would like to note here, because it's really important to say out loud, is for me, in my Xtool P2, the item that I cut and engrave the most, like I can't remember the last time I actually put in a different type of material in either of my Xtool P2s, is only acrylic. Acrylic doesn't create as much smoke or soot or particles like you would get if you were cutting and engraving, let's say MDF. MDF wood creates so much sawdust and air particles and stuff like that, it tends to fill up filters faster. Now, I don't actually have any of that here in my craft room, so I couldn't even be able to tell you how long it would take for you to fill up one of your filters. But just know, certain materials create and clog filters faster than others. I personally just love working with acrylic so much that my filters tend to last a little bit longer than someone who would just use MDF the entire time. Now that we got that covered, let's talk about what the actual filters look like, because that was a question in a comment that I had gotten on that original unboxing was, what do they look like? Now, if they're 95% clean, so you're probably not gonna see a whole lot, but I'm gonna show you anyways, just for full transparency. Now, when you do this, I want you to make sure, and have your machine and this turned off. You don't want to adjust the, or take the filters out when your machine is on. So all you have to do is just take this part off. It's magnetic, super nice. Now the, let's do the cyclone, which is 0. Doesn't look like a whole lot. It's 0. Does it even have an air filter? I'm not entirely sure, but it's like fully encased in there, okay? We're gonna slide this back in. Then we are gonna go into one, pull one out, and one looks a little dusty in there. It's not bright white like it did before. It's actually pretty white right back there, but it's 95% fine. So it's gonna get nastier as the time goes on, you know what I mean? Okay, so we're gonna push this one back in. Oh, okay, it was pretty hard to push in. Number 2, these are not easy to take in and out, that's for sure. Okay, number 2 has a little bit of color to it. It's not bright white. Like this is the bottom portion. This is bright white. This is the top portion, and it's kind of dusty. Now I'm assuming that as this fills up, the bottom of this is gonna get as dirty as what the top looks like. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna take these all out and then we're just gonna put it back in because it is kind of difficult to take these puppies out, in and out. All right, going into 3. Now I believe 3 was the cleanest, or at 100%. You're gonna see just a little bit of discoloration right here, and then nothing on the back. There's just a little bit. All right, 4. I don't see any type of discoloration on 4. Looking pretty good. And then number 5. Still pretty white. All right, now let's push this back in the order of which they go in. That's gonna be the easiest, I think. Now that I have all those filters put in, that was actually kind of hard. I suggest if you take them out from top to bottom and then put them in from bottom to top. All you have to do is put this one back on. Again, magnetic. It just goes right back on there and you're ready to go. Now, if you were replacing your air filters, like I said, you want to make sure and turn your machines off before you do any of that. Just turn it back on. You're ready to go. You should be off and crafted. Now, one of the comments that I got on the original unboxing video was, imagine buying the original air filter for your machine and then coming to find out that within a year, they just make a whole new air filter and your original air filter is obsolete. That is extremely frustrating, but I don't believe that the word obsolete is accurate, because from what I have seen in the Xtool Facebook groups and other social medias is that if you require another air filter for your original filter that you purchased, all you have to do is email them and they will send you a link to purchase it. Why is it not listed on their website? I'm not entirely sure. Kind of frustrating, but I do know that you can still purchase the air filters for the original air filter. At least you can at the time of this recording. Now, there was another comment about just because there's no smell doesn't mean it's not toxic. That's 100% true. Now, I would like to note that there is some sort of toxicity level as a laser crafter, especially if you're a laser engraving things, you probably shouldn't like plastic. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you can and cannot cut or engrave, but what I am here to tell you is the smell, because that's something that I can justify myself and tell you my opinions on it, okay? I've been a laser crafter for numerous years, and the smell is what holds a lot of people back. Does that mean that because we can't smell something, something isn't toxic? That's not what that means. It just means that you can't smell it. So most of the time we equate like a headache with a smell, okay? I'm not going to try and argue my point here because I would never take health information from a crafter. I'm just trying to talk about smells. Some people are very sensitive to smells. You have this in your house. You don't want your house smelling like acrylic and things like that. They're not too concerned about your health safety. So all we're going to talk about is smells. Is there a smell when you are using the air filter? I would say the smell is very low when you're using the air filter. Probably like a 1 or 2, maybe even a 3. My husband, who also is sensitive to smells, he's never up here. But when he does come up here while I'm cutting, he's like, wow, you would not know. And acrylic is known to be very stinky when you cut it. And he doesn't smell the smell while it's cutting. Now, I keep saying while it's cutting because what I've noticed is that after you get done cutting, if you wait for, because what I would suggest most people do is when your machine is done cutting, there is going to be this like little 3-second period where your fan is going to continue to run until all of the fumes are sucked out and filtered out. What I would suggest doing is not opening the lid, because what happens is if you open the lid right when your machine is done cutting, all those fumes that haven't been extracted yet will now start to fly up. But here's the thing. What I've noticed is that even if I wait a few seconds and I get done cutting and I open this lid, the cuts that are on here that have been cut out, they still stink. And it does fill up your room that you're in. Is it as bad as what it used to be? Absolutely not. But there is still a smell, which is why I say this is as like a 2 or a 3. Because while it's cutting, you can't smell a dang thing. But when you open the lid, you can smell it. I don't think that's a problem that the air filter is having. It's just that there's going to be residual smells on all of your items that are in here, like the metal and stuff like that. So you are going to get a smell. It's not coming from the air filter. It's coming from your laser. Now, there was a couple comments in the original unboxing video of the air filter that said that they could not stand their air filter, that it pulses a lot, or it arrived broken, yada, yada, yada. First and foremost, if it arrives broken, contact Xtool customer service, because they should not be selling you damaged goods, or you shouldn't be receiving damaged goods. They're pretty known and helpful on trying to get you replacements. That being said, one thing that I have noticed, and this is maybe because I am very far away from my internet router, I'm not entirely sure, but I have my P2S Bluetooth to my air filter. I have noticed sometimes my Bluetooth, when I like go to start a cut and I press go, I have it automatically supposed to automatically start. I said automatically auto so many times there, but you get the picture. Because I have the Xtool P2, when I press go, my air filter is supposed to automatically start going. I have noticed sometimes that it doesn't start going. So then I have to go over and press the button and manually turn it on. So for me, I have noticed that the Bluetooth hasn't been communicating as well as it should, but if we go back over here into the information settings, I did see that at the very bottom it says solutions to Bluetooth accessory connection failures. Now, if you were to click on view, what you're going to get is this right here where it says solutions. And then obviously you can do a help ticket if you continue to have an issue. I'm assuming that the reason why they have this little button right here is because Xtool has also heard from other users that they also are having an issue with their Bluetooth. Now, I would not entirely say that this air filter is a pass just because the Bluetooth isn't working, because as Xtool has shown me over the years is that they are always trying to improve their products, making sure that everything is stable and in working order. So while today I see that sometimes my air filter doesn't want to connect like it should, I'm assuming that they'll have that fixed in the near future, so it will start to work better. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So my final opinion about this air filter, which it should not surprise you, it's going to be the same opinion as the unboxing video. If you have the ability to vent out of your window, because all lasers do require some sort of venting system. If you have a window that you can vent out of, I would suggest going that route. And the only reason why I suggest that is because having an air filter like the one that I have now is going to require an occurring cost. How fast you replace your air filters all depends on what we cut and engrave, but you are going to have a reoccurring cost when you use an air filter. If you want to stick your vent hose right out of a window and vent out of a window, you're never going to have a reoccurring cost when you do things that way. There is a minus to that though. The smell that you get going out of your window, you still get the kind of stinkiness that other laser people complain about because you're not using an air filter. But to me, I would much rather not have the reoccurring cost of an air filter that I have to purchase versus just having it be a little stinky. Now, obviously, if you are really sensitive to smells, getting the air filter would be your best option just because that would eliminate a lot of the stinkiness. But just know that when we open up the laser, it's great and all that, while you're cutting, you don't get that smell. But like my craft room does smell like cut acrylic after I opened the lid, because I was cutting acrylic this morning, opened that lid, I was counting the acrylic blanks, my fingers smell like it, and so does my craft room, and that's just because that's what you're going to get. So the smell is definitely not fully eliminated. It is down to, like I said, 1, 2, maybe even a 3. It's not as bad as what it used to be, but it's definitely there. So you're still going to have a little bit of smell. Does that mean that what I did was non-toxic because I used the air filter? That is for a health professional and not just a crafter like me. So I would like to just put that in there for anyone who thinks that I am not aware that what we do does have a level of danger to it, to our health and everything else. But just know I'm no health professional and I don't want you taking health advice from me or any other crafter out there. I'm just going to comment on the smell. And I think that summed up all the questions that I had gotten on the original video for the air filter. Now, if you have any other questions about the air filter, please leave them in the comments of this video or in the original unboxing video, because I want to be able to answer all the questions, especially if I can answer them. I want to answer them because the air filter is one of those accessory items. Do you have to buy it? Do you not have to buy it? So I want to be able to be as helpful to you as possible because it's not cheap. We're not talking about a $5 item here. We're talking about a couple $100 item here. All right. Oh, one thing, something about the inline fan. Like, do you use the inline fan with the air filter? You definitely can. All it does is it pulls the air out faster from your laser as you're engraving. The inline fan will help the quality of your cuts, not necessarily take the air or the smoke and make it more filtered or less stinky. So the inline fan does something completely different than the air filter. That's the other one. I just remembered that. So, all right, y'all, I sure hope that I was helpful on this little update about the air filter. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.